You may think your silence is protecting you. You may believe that if you say nothing, you can avoid the argument, the rejection, the embarrassment, or the moment when everything changes. But silence is not always neutral. Sometimes silence quietly makes the decision you were afraid to make. It lets misunderstanding grow without correction. It allows resentment to speak inside you even while your mouth stays closed. It creates distance where honesty might have created clarity. And little by little, the words you refuse to face begin shaping your days, your prayers, your relationships, and the way you see yourself. This is not a message telling you to rush into a dangerous conversation or confront someone without wisdom. It is an invitation to stop pretending that unspoken truth has no cost. Something in your life may need prayerful, honest attention. The question is not simply, should I speak? The deeper question is, what is my silence doing to my heart, and what would a faithful next step look like? Maybe there is an apology you have rehearsed 100 times but never offered. Maybe there is a boundary you know you need, yet you keep saying yes while your spirit grows tired. Maybe someone hurt you, and instead of naming the wound, you began acting as if everything were fine. Maybe you need to admit that your feelings have changed, that a situation is no longer healthy, or that a decision cannot be postponed forever. You do not need to force yourself into an answer this second. But you do need to become honest about what you are carrying. Avoidance can feel peaceful for a moment because it removes immediate pressure. Real peace, however, is not the same as temporary relief. Peace can remain present while you face a difficult truth. Relief disappears the moment the same unresolved issue returns. If the same conversation keeps following you into quiet rooms, sleepless nights, and distracted prayers, your silence may not be solving the problem. It may only be delaying the moment when you meet it with courage and wisdom. There is a reason silence can feel safer than honesty. Honesty makes you visible. It gives another person the opportunity to understand you, but it also gives them the opportunity to disagree, dismiss, or misunderstand you. Silence allows you to imagine every possible outcome without having to experience one. It offers the illusion of control. As long as you do not speak, you can tell yourself that the relationship might improve, the problem might disappear, or the right moment might arrive on its own. Yet the perfect moment rarely announces itself. Wisdom matters, timing matters, and safety matters, but perfection is often another name fear uses when it wants more time. You keep waiting until you can speak without trembling, until you can guarantee the other person will respond well, or until you have words so flawless that no conflict can follow. That standard cannot be met. Courage is not speaking without fear. Courage is allowing truth, love, humility, and wisdom to become more important than fear. Sometimes you stay quiet because you learned early that your needs created trouble. Perhaps people called you dramatic when you expressed pain. Perhaps anger filled the room whenever you disagreed. Perhaps you were rewarded for being easy, helpful, agreeable, and undemanding. So you became skilled at reading everyone else while ignoring yourself. You noticed every change in tone. You adjusted your words before anyone could criticize them. You apologized for taking up space. You smiled while something inside you was saying no. These patterns may once have helped you survive a difficult environment, but a survival pattern can become a prison when it follows you into every relationship. God does not ask you to erase yourself in order to prove that you are loving. Biblical love is patient and kind, but it also rejoices with truth. Humility does not mean pretending you have no limits. Grace does not require you to call harm acceptable. A gentle voice can still carry a clear answer. Other times, your silence protects your pride rather than your peace. An apology is waiting, but you do not want to admit how deeply your words affected someone. You have explained your intention to yourself so many times that you have stopped considering the impact. You think, I did not mean it that way, as if good intentions automatically repair pain. Or perhaps you are afraid that apologizing will make you weak, give the other person power, or require more change than you want to make. But confession is not humiliation. It is the end of hiding. A sincere apology does not demand immediate forgiveness and does not explain away the wound. It says, "I see what I did. I understand that it hurt you. I am sorry. I want to take responsibility." You cannot control whether that apology restores the relationship, but you can decide whether your pride will keep adding silence to an injury you already recognize. There is also the silence created by confusion. You may not know exactly what you feel. One day you want to speak, the next day you doubt yourself. You wonder whether the issue is serious or whether you are simply tired. You replay details, search for certainty, and ask for signs because you do not trust your own perception. In that situation, the first honest conversation may need to happen on paper, in prayer, or with a wise and trustworthy person. Write what happened without exaggeration. Write what you felt without judging yourself for feeling it. Separate facts from assumptions. Name what you need, what you fear, and what outcome you are secretly trying to guarantee. Clarity often grows when the truth is given simple language. You do not have to begin by speaking to the person involved. You can begin by refusing to lie to yourself. The goal is not to make your emotions the final authority. The goal is to bring your emotions, facts, values, and faith into the same room. Now consider what your silence has been costing you. Has it cost you sleep because every night becomes another imaginary conversation? Has it cost you closeness because the other person cannot respond to needs you never name? Has it cost you self-respect because you repeatedly agree to what violates your limits? Has it cost you time because a decision that should have been faced months ago still controls your attention? Has it cost you joy because resentment follows you into moments that should feel light? Has it cost you spiritual peace because you keep asking God to remove a situation while refusing to take the responsible step already available to you? This is not condemnation. Shame will only make you hide more. This is an honest inventory. You cannot change yesterday's silence, but you can understand its price and decide whether you are willing to keep paying it. One hidden cost is the story silence creates in the absence of facts. When you do not ask, you assume. When you do not explain, others assume. You interpret their distance as rejection. They interpret your quietness as indifference. You believe they should know why you are hurt. They believe nothing is wrong because you keep saying you are fine. Two people can live inside completely different stories while sharing the same room. An honest conversation does not guarantee agreement, but it replaces some imagination with reality. Reality may be painful, yet it can be worked with. Assumptions are shadows, they change shape whenever fear changes the light. Clarity gives you something solid. You may discover that the situation is reparable. You may discover that the other person is unwilling to listen. Both discoveries matter because either one allows you to stop living only inside guesses. Another cost is resentment. Resentment often begins as pain that never found a clear voice. You keep giving, but you never say that you are tired. You keep accepting jokes that wound you, then become angry that no one notices. You keep solving problems for everyone, then feel invisible when no one asks what you need. Resentment can make generosity feel like evidence in a private trial. You remember every sacrifice, every unanswered message, every moment they failed to read your mind. Eventually even small disappointments carry the weight of everything unspoken. This does not mean the other person has no responsibility. It means you must examine the agreement you silently made and expected them to follow. Were they ever told? Did you communicate your limit clearly? Did you say yes while hoping they would hear no? Honest boundaries prevent love from becoming a secret contract. Yet wisdom requires an essential distinction: not every silence should be broken immediately. Some situations require preparation. Some require distance. Some require a counselor, pastor, mediator, legal advisor, medical professional, or trusted support person. If someone has threatened you, stalked you, harmed you, controlled your money, isolated you, or punished you for speaking, direct contact may not be safe. Faith does not require you to place yourself back within reach of abuse. Forgiveness does not require access. Compassion does not cancel boundaries. You can release vengeance without reopening a dangerous door. You can pray for someone from a protected distance. You can tell the truth to a safe person without confronting the unsafe person alone. If there is real danger, prioritize a safety plan and professional help rather than interpreting this message as an instruction to make contact. There are also times when silence is discipline. You may need to wait until anger cools so your words do not become weapons. You may need more facts before making an accusation. You may need to listen before correcting. You may need to accept that not every opinion deserves expression and not every misunderstanding requires a defense. Jesus sometimes answered questions directly, sometimes asked another question, and sometimes remained silent before people committed to distortion. Wise silence is chosen with clarity. Fearful silence is controlled by avoidance. The difference is not always visible from the outside, but you can examine the fruit. Is your silence helping you become prayerful, prepared, and peaceful? Or is it making you smaller, more resentful, more anxious, and more dishonest? A pause can serve truth. Endless avoidance usually serves fear. Before you speak, ask what you want the conversation to accomplish. Do you want clarity, or do you want to punish? Do you want to take responsibility, or do you want to force an apology? Do you want to state a boundary, or do you want the other person to feel guilty enough to obey? Your motive does not need to be perfectly pure, but it needs honest examination. If your secret goal is to control the response, you will be tempted to exaggerate, threaten, preach, or keep talking until the other person gives you the answer you want. A faithful conversation makes room for freedom. It tells the truth without turning truth into a weapon. It can be firm, but it does not manipulate. It can express pain, but it does not use pain as permission to destroy. The words you need may belong to one of four categories: truth, apology, boundary, or decision. Truth says, "This is what I have experienced, and this is how it has affected me." Apology says, "I recognize the harm I caused, and I take responsibility without demanding that you comfort me." Boundary says, "This is what I can and cannot participate in, and this is what I will do if the pattern continues." Decision says, "I have considered this carefully, and I am choosing a direction." Sometimes a conversation includes more than one category, but confusion decreases when you know the main purpose. Do not hide a decision inside a debate if the decision has already been made. Do not disguise a demand as a boundary. Do not call an accusation truth when it is based only on assumption. Clear language honors both people. If you need to share a difficult truth, begin with what you actually know. Instead of saying, "You never care about me," describe the moment and its impact. "When plans change without telling me, I feel unimportant and I need clearer communication." Instead of saying, "You are trying to control me," say, "When I am pressured after I have said no, I feel unsafe and I will end the conversation." Specific language is harder to dismiss and less likely to create a battle over exaggerated words. Speak from your experience. Ask questions where you do not know. Leave room to learn something. Honesty is not certainty about another person's motives. It is clarity about what you observed, what you felt, what you value, and what you will choose. If you owe an apology, remove the words that cancel it. "I am sorry, but you also," is not a complete apology. "I am sorry you felt that way," places the burden back on the wounded person. "I already said sorry, what else do you want?" treats repair like a transaction. A sincere apology can be brief: "I spoke carelessly. It was wrong, and it hurt you. I am sorry. I am working to change this behavior." Then listen. The other person may need time. They may not trust your words yet. Change gives an apology weight. You are responsible for honesty and repair where possible, but you are not entitled to immediate restoration. Grace invites responsibility, it does not erase consequences. If you need a boundary, remember that a boundary describes your participation, not a rule for controlling someone else. "You are not allowed to be angry" is control. If shouting begins, "I will pause the conversation and return when we can speak respectfully," is a boundary. You must stop drinking, attempts to command another adult. "I will not stay in a car with someone who has been drinking," describes your action. A boundary becomes real when you are prepared to follow it calmly. Repeating a limit without acting on it teaches others that your no can be negotiated. You do not need a dramatic speech. You need clarity, consistency, and support if the boundary is difficult to maintain. If the issue is a decision, acknowledge that delay is also shaping the outcome. Perhaps you keep postponing a career conversation, a medical appointment, a financial reality, or a relationship decision because every option carries loss. Waiting can be wise when you are gathering necessary information. Waiting becomes avoidance when you keep collecting the same information because you dislike the choice. Ask, "What fact am I still missing?" If you cannot name one, you may not need more information. You may need courage to accept that no option removes all discomfort. A mature decision is not always the path without pain. Sometimes it is the path that aligns most clearly with truth, responsibility, and the person you are called to become. Choose the right setting. Do not begin a serious conversation while someone is driving, exhausted, intoxicated, rushing to work, or surrounded by people. Ask for time when possible. Say, "There is something important I would like to discuss. Is there a time today or tomorrow when we can speak without rushing?" Keep the first sentence simple. Your nervous system may want to deliver the entire history at once, but too much information can bury the central truth. Write 3 points: what happened, why it matters, and what you are asking or choosing now. If the conversation wanders, return gently to those points. Preparation does not make you artificial. It helps fear avoid taking over your language. Pray before you speak, but do not use prayer as another form of postponement. Ask for wisdom, humility, courage, and restraint. Ask God to reveal where you are wrong as well as where you have been wounded. Ask for freedom from the need to win. Then decide what action matches the prayer. Scripture teaches us to speak truth in love, to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. These instructions belong together. Truth without love becomes cruelty. Love without truth becomes avoidance. Listening without a voice becomes disappearance. Speaking without listening becomes domination. The goal is not perfect performance. The goal is a conversation shaped by honesty and grace. During the conversation, notice when your body begins to move into panic. Slow your breathing. Put your feet on the floor. Lower your voice rather than raising it to compete. If you become overwhelmed, ask for a pause with a specific return time. "I want to continue, but I need 20 minutes to calm down. Can we return to this at 7? A pause without a return can feel like abandonment. A clear return protects the conversation. If the other person insults, threatens, or refuses all respect, you are allowed to end the exchange. Staying present does not mean accepting mistreatment. You can say, "I am willing to discuss this, but not while I am being called names. I am leaving now, and we can reconsider later." Listen for understanding, not surrender. The other person may remember events differently. Hearing their perspective does not require you to abandon your own. Reflect what you heard. "I understand that you felt surprised and accused." Then clarify, "My concern still remains, and I need us to address it." Two experiences can exist without one erasing the other. If you made a mistake, admit it. If they reveal information you did not know, let it change your understanding. If they avoid the issue by attacking your character, return to the subject. You do not have to answer every accusation in order to keep your message valid. Calm repetition can be more powerful than a long defense. Remember that you cannot control their response. You can choose preparation, tone, timing, honesty, and boundaries. You cannot choose whether they apologize, understand, change, forgive, agree, or remain in the relationship. This is where many people return to silence. They do not merely fear speaking, they fear discovering the truth about the other person's willingness. Silence keeps hope undefined. A real response may confirm that repair is possible, or it may reveal that the relationship cannot become what you hoped. Both outcomes can bring grief. Neither outcome means honesty was a mistake. Clarity can hurt before it heals, but confusion can quietly hurt for years. Do not measure success only by whether the conversation feels good. A successful apology may still be met with caution. A successful boundary may make someone angry because they benefited from your lack of one. A successful truth may lead to a difficult season of rebuilding. A successful decision may include sadness. Faithfulness is not the same as immediate comfort. Ask whether you spoke truthfully, listened carefully, respected safety, accepted responsibility, and avoided manipulation. Those are outcomes within your stewardship. The rest belongs to time, the other person's freedom, and God's work beyond your control. Perhaps you are realizing that the first person you need to stop avoiding is yourself. You have used busyness, service, entertainment, and even spiritual language to remain distant from your own grief. You keep encouraging everyone else while refusing to admit that you are exhausted. You tell people to trust God while secretly believing that your own questions make you unfaithful. Bring those questions into the light. Lament is not unbelief. Scripture is filled with people who asked why, named sorrow, confessed fear, and still turned toward God. You do not have to perform strength in prayer. Honest prayer is already a form of breaking silence. Maybe the words are not for another person at all. Maybe you need to say, I cannot keep living at this pace. Maybe you need to admit, I need help. Maybe you need to tell a doctor what you have been minimizing, a counselor what you have been hiding, a leader what has been happening, or a trusted friend how close you are to giving up. Asking for help is not failure. It is a refusal to let isolation make every decision. If you feel at risk of harming yourself or someone else, contact emergency services or a crisis resource in your location now and stay with a safe person. You deserve immediate, real-world support, not secrecy. You may also need to accept that some words will never receive the response you wanted. The person may be unavailable, unwilling, or no longer alive. In that case, write the letter you cannot send. Name the hurt. Name what you wish had happened. Name what you are releasing. Pray with the letter. Share it with a safe counselor or trusted person if that would help. Closure is not always given by the person who caused the wound. Sometimes closure grows as you stop waiting for them to become the source of your healing. You can grieve what was missing without allowing the missing answer to govern every future relationship. If you have been silent because you fear disappointing everyone, remember that a life built entirely around preventing disappointment will eventually disappoint you. Someone may dislike your boundary. Someone may misunderstand your decision. Someone may prefer the version of you who never asked for anything. Their discomfort is not automatic proof that you are wrong. At the same time, your conviction is not automatic proof that you are right. Remain teachable. Seek wise counsel. Compare your choice with scripture, character, facts, responsibility, and safety. Then allow yourself to act without demanding universal approval. Start smaller than fear tells you. You do not need to solve the entire relationship tonight. Write one sentence that tells the truth without accusation. I miss the closeness we had, and I want to understand what changed. I need to apologize for how I spoke. I cannot continue agreeing to this schedule. I have delayed this decision because I am afraid. Read the sentence aloud. Notice where you want to soften it into meaninglessness or sharpen it into a weapon. Adjust it until it is both clear and respectful. Then decide who should hear it, when they should hear it, and whether support should be present. Choose one honest and faithful next step. That step may be scheduling the conversation. It may be writing the apology. It may be asking a counselor to help you prepare. It may be creating a safety plan instead of making contact. It may be saying no without another paragraph of explanation. It may be admitting that you need more information and naming exactly what information is missing. Do not confuse a small step with an insignificant step. A door moves because a hinge turns a little at a time. Your next act of honesty does not need to complete the journey. It only needs to move in the right direction. Your silence has a history, and it deserves compassion. You learned it for reasons. Do not shame the part of you that tried to stay safe. Thank it for protecting you, then ask whether the danger it expects is still present. If danger is present, choose protection and support. If fear is repeating an old alarm in a safer place, practice a new response slowly. Courage can be learned. Clear communication can be practiced. Boundaries can become steadier. Apologies can become less defensive. Decisions can become more honest. Growth is not instant, but it is possible. Bring this moment to God without pretending. Say, "Show me where silence is wise and where silence is fear. Show me what belongs to me and what does not. Help me speak truth without cruelty, listen without disappearing, apologize without controlling, and set boundaries without hatred. Protect me from rushing into danger, and protect me from calling avoidance peace. Give me courage for the next faithful step and humility about the outcome." Then remain still long enough to notice what truth returns when panic becomes quieter. You do not need a supernatural countdown to make honesty important. You do not need a promise that everything will work out exactly as you hope. The value of truth is not dependent on a guaranteed reward. Truth allows you to live with integrity. Grace allows you to tell it without destroying another person. Wisdom helps you know when, where, and how. Safety tells you when distance is necessary. Faith reminds you that your identity does not depend on winning the conversation. You are responsible for your words and choices, not for controlling every result. So look gently but honestly at the place you have avoided. What has silence been protecting you from? What has silence been costing you? Is there an apology, boundary, truth, request for help, or decision that needs a clearer form? Write it down. Pray over it. Check your safety. Seek counsel where needed. Choose the setting. Release the fantasy of a perfect response. Then take the next step with courage and restraint. The goal is not to become louder. The goal is to become more truthful, more loving, and more free. You may still feel afraid after this message ends. That does not mean you learned nothing. Fear often remains present when courage begins moving. Let your next step be small enough to take and honest enough to matter. If you are not ready to speak, prepare. If you are unsafe, seek protection. If you owe an apology, stop defending the delay. If you need a boundary, make it specific. If you need help, let someone trustworthy know. Your silence does not have to keep deciding your future. With prayer, wisdom, support, and truth, you can begin choosing differently today.